Imagine one of the most talkative women on American television going completely silent for 10 days straight. No jokes, no banter, no stories about her kids. Nothing. For anyone who's ever watched Live with Kelly and Mark, that idea alone sounds almost impossible. And yet, that's exactly what happened to Kelly Ripa. And now, she's finally telling fans why. This isn't a scandal. It isn't a feud. It's something far more human, and honestly, a lot more relatable than anyone expected from a daytime television icon. But the way the story unfolded, piece by piece, across a talk show clip, an Instagram comment section, and finally Kelly's own podcast, is exactly the kind of slow burn reveal that had fans hooked for weeks. Let's start with who we're talking about. Kelly Ripa has spent more than 2 decades as one of the most consistent, beloved faces in daytime television. Alongside her husband, Mark Consuelos, she now co-hosts Live with Kelly and Mark, a show built almost entirely on the chemistry between two people who genuinely know each other inside and out. The two met while working together on the soap opera All My Children, married in 1996, and have spent nearly 30 years building both a family and, eventually, a television partnership that fans tune into every single morning. Part of what makes their show so addictive to watch is exactly what was missing during Kelly's mysterious absence: her voice. Her quick comebacks. Her tendency to say exactly what she's thinking, whether it's about Mark, their kids, or whatever chaotic thing happened in their house that week. So when guest co-hosts started filling in for her and Mark began fielding questions about where his wife had gone, fans immediately started paying attention. The first real clue came from Mark himself, during a July episode with guest co-host Kevin Jonas, sitting in Kelly's chair. Mark explained that his wife was recovering from a procedure, and that she was already feeling better. But then he said something that raised a lot more questions than it answered. He mentioned that Kelly had been saying certain things she probably shouldn't have. And that's where things got interesting. Kevin Jonas, clearly picking up on the mystery, asked the obvious question: she's allowed to speak though? Mark's answer was even more intriguing. I don't think so, he admitted, before adding an odd detail that Kelly had apparently figured out how to talk without moving her bottom lip. Jonas, in classic talk show fashion, joked that she was basically turning herself into a ventriloquist. It was funny. It was charming. But it also left a very real question hanging in the air. Why exactly couldn't Kelly Ripa talk? But that wasn't the end of the story. The clip of that exchange made its way to the show's Instagram page, and almost instantly, the comment section turned into its own little community of support and curiosity. Fans didn't pile on with judgment or wild theories. Instead, they showed up with genuine warmth. One follower shared that they'd had the exact same surgery just weeks earlier and confirmed it definitely wasn't fun. Others chimed in with well wishes, telling Kelly to heal quickly, to enjoy a bit of forced rest, and, perhaps most fittingly, to actually listen to her doctor this time. That last comment turned out to be more prophetic than anyone realized, because the full explanation didn't come from the show. It came from Kelly herself in an episode of her own podcast, Let's Talk Off Camera with Kelly Ripa, recorded before she ever went in for the procedure. On the podcast, Kelly got refreshingly candid and a little graphic about exactly what was about to happen to her. She explained that her upcoming surgery was a gum graft, a procedure where tissue is taken from the roof of the mouth and used to rebuild gums that have worn away. They take the skin off the roof of your mouth, she said, and they put it over your gums. And that description alone explained everything about the 10-day no-talking rule that had left fans and co-hosts alike so puzzled. Healing tissue grafted onto sensitive gum lines doesn't exactly pair well with fast-paced, high-energy morning show conversation. And then came the twist that made this story genuinely relatable to millions of viewers. The cause of her gum recession wasn't some rare medical condition. It wasn't age catching up with her. It was something almost everyone listening has probably done at some point: brushing too hard. I'm an overbrusher, Kelly admitted. I brush my teeth too much. It's a good bad habit. She explained that years of overly aggressive brushing had slowly worn her gum line down, to the point where her dentist said it was time to, in her words, regum her gums. It's the kind of confession that makes you stop scrolling. Because overbrushing sounds like a good thing. It sounds like exactly the kind of habit a dentist should be praising, not treating. And that contradiction, a responsible habit turning into a painful problem, is exactly why this story resonated with so many people who'd never think twice about how hard they press down on their toothbrush each morning. There was one more layer to the story that added some real emotional weight. Kelly revealed that this surgery wasn't actually a surprise. Her dentist had warned her about it 5 years earlier, telling her she'd eventually need the graft, but that she had some time before it became urgent. Like a lot of people do with health tasks that aren't emergencies, Kelly quietly pushed it down the priority list. Year after year, eventually kept getting further away, until her dentist delivered a much more direct message. She no longer had the luxury of time. That single detail is probably the most relatable part of this entire story. A minor health task put off again and again, until it finally can't be avoided any longer. It's such a common, ordinary experience that watching one of television's most recognizable hosts admit to doing the exact same thing made her feel less like a celebrity and more like, well, everyone else. Fans immediately started reacting once the full story came out, and the reaction wasn't gossip-driven. It was overwhelmingly sympathetic. People shared their own dental horror stories. Others admitted they, too, had ignored a dentist's warning for years. In a strange way, Kelly Ripa's very unglamorous health update became one of the more human, down-to-earth celebrity stories to circulate in a while, proof that even talk show hosts deal with the same avoidable health headaches as the rest of us. It's worth stepping back and looking at why this story spread the way it did. Part of it is simply the mystery, the slow reveal, from Mark's cryptic comments, to the ventriloquist joke, to fans piecing things together in the comments, to Kelly's own detailed explanation weeks later. That kind of gradual unfolding naturally keeps an audience curious. But the bigger reason is trust. Kelly Ripa has built an entire career on being unfiltered. She doesn't perform a polished, untouchable version of herself. She shares the real, sometimes awkward, sometimes painfully relatable details of daily life. A gum graft caused by overbrushing isn't a dramatic Hollywood headline. It's the kind of thing that happens to real people, and Kelly told it exactly like that. Humor intact, a little self-deprecating, completely honest. That honesty matters for the show, too. Live with Kelly and Mark has always leaned on authenticity as its selling point. Two real people, married for nearly 3 decades, riffing about their actual lives rather than reading from a script. When one half of that duo goes quiet for over a week, even for a completely ordinary medical reason, it shifts the entire rhythm of the show. Viewers notice. They feel the gap. And that's exactly why they wanted answers. There's also a broader takeaway here about celebrity culture in general. Instead of staying vague or letting speculation fill in the blanks, Kelly chose to lay it all out. The procedure, the habit that caused it, even the fact that she ignored her dentist's advice for half a decade. In an entertainment landscape that often rewards mystery and controlled messaging, that level of transparency stands out. And audiences responded to it exactly the way you'd hope. Not with criticism, but with warmth, humor, and a whole lot of same, honestly. As for Kelly, she's expected back in her regular co-host chair as her recovery wraps up, ready to talk exactly as much as she always has. Maybe even more, after 10 days of practicing patience she clearly wasn't used to. At the end of the day, this wasn't really a story about surgery. It was a story about a habit almost everyone has, a warning almost everyone ignores, and a couple who turned an uncomfortable 10 days into something fans could actually laugh with them about, instead of just watching from a distance. So here's something worth thinking about. Is there a version of Kelly's 5-year warning sitting on your own to-do list right now? If you enjoyed this celebrity update, subscribe for more entertainment news and Hollywood stories.